Hello guys, chapter 3.2, solving problems involving straight lines. Okay, we are going to solve all the exercises of this chapter. Okay, the first part, 3.2a exercises. Work out question number one, work out whether the lines in each pair are parallel. Okay, we know that if two lines are parallel, then they have the same slopes. Okay, the first line, part A, the first line is given y equals 2x minus 6. It is in the slope-intercept form. Slope is the coefficient of x and negative 6 is the y-intercept. Therefore, the slope of this line is 2. So the first one, the slope is 2. If the lines want to be parallel, okay, the slopes must be equal. The second line, y equals 2x plus 9. This one also is given in the slope-intercept form. 2 is the slope and 9 is the y-intercept. Therefore, the slope of this one also is 2. Okay, the slopes are equal, so the lines are parallel. Second one, the first line, y is negative x minus 5. Y equals negative x minus 5. So negative 3 is the slope, m equal negative 3. And the second line, y equals 5 minus 3x. So as we said, the coefficient of x is the slope. So here the coefficient of x is negative 3. So also, these two lines have the same slopes. Therefore, these two lines are parallel. Question 2. Line A passes through 1 and 7 and 3 and 11. Line B passes through 2 and negative 3 and 5 and 3. Show that the lines A and B are parallel. So, as we see that for each line, 2 points are given. Therefore, if we use the formula for slope, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 for each line and find the slope of each one, then we can compare and say if the lines are parallel or not. So for line A, we have 2 points. Find the slope or gradient. M equals, consider the first point to be x1 and y1, the second point to be x2 and y2. So subtract the y's, 11 minus 7 over 3 minus 1. Okay, it's going to be 4 over 2, which the slope is 2. Okay, for the second line, B, the points that are given, 2 and negative 3, consider this one x1, y1, x2, y2. Find the gradient for them. Okay, y2 minus y1, it's 3 minus negative 3 over 5 minus 2. Okay, 3 minus negative 3 would be 6 over 5 minus 2 is 3. 6 over 3 would be 2. Okay, the gradients are equal. Both of them are 2, therefore the lines are parallel. Question 3. Work out whether the lines in each pair are parallel. Okay, as you see in part A, the lines that are given are in general form. Okay, but the first one is in general form, and the second one is almost, we can say, it is in the slope-intercept, but as you see here is negative y. So I can turn it into y equals negative 4x minus 3. If you multiply this negative to the other side, the line will be in the slope-intercept form. Now I can say that the gradient of the second line is negative 4. But for the first one, which is in general form, we learned to find the slope by the formula m is equal to negative coefficient of x over coefficient of y. We can use this formula for the general form to find the slope. In this case, we can say m is equal to negative. Okay, the coefficient of x is 4. the coefficient of y is -1. Therefore, the slope is just 4. So, okay, one of the lines has the slope 4. The second one has the slope -4. The slopes are not equal, therefore the lines are not parallel. Part B, again, you can use the same formula for the slope. Okay, m is equal negative coefficient x, which is 6, over coefficient of y, which is -2. It becomes 3. Okay, the other one is in the slope-intercept form, and the gradient or slope is 3. The slopes are equal, so we can say that the lines are parallel. Question 4. Find the equation of a line that is parallel to line -4x plus y plus 7 equals 0 and passes through the y-intercept of line, this one. Okay, the first thing we need is to find the slope of the first line. We can use the formula that I mentioned above, which you can write m equals negative coefficient of x, which is -4, over coefficient of y, which is 1, and if you simplify it, it will be just 4. So we have the gradient of the line that we want to write, but we don't have the y-intercept. The y-intercept of that would be the same as the y-intercept of this line, what is given in the question. So let's reform this one to the slope-intercept. If I want to change this one to slope-intercept, it means I want to make y isolated or alone on one side. You can take simply -y to the other side. It becomes positive y, and on the left side we have 2x plus 3. Or we can rewrite it as y equals 2x plus 3. You can see that the y-intercept is 3. Y-intercept is 3. Okay, now we have the gradient of the line, the y-intercept of the line, and we can simply use the formula y equals mx plus c to write the equation of this line, which is y equals 4x plus 3. That is the final answer of part 4. Okay, question 5. Work out whether the lines in each pair are parallel. Okay, again, to have the parallel lines, the slopes must be equal. For part A, okay, we have it in general form. To find the slope, we can use the formula that I gave you. Okay, question 5 would be for part A, m is equal to negative coefficient of x over coefficient of y, which is positive 5 over 3. Okay, and the second line is given 6y equals to 10x plus 3. It is neither in the form of general form, in the standard form, nor the slope-intercept. But okay, you can change it to slope-intercept form. Okay, so it would be 6y equals 10x plus 3. You can divide everything by 6, therefore it will be y equals 10 over 6x plus 3 over 6. You can simplify it a little bit. It will be y equals 5 over 3x plus 1 over 2, because you can simplify 10 and 6 by 2 and 3 and 6 by 3. Okay, as you see, the slope of the second line is 5 over 3, which is equal to the slope of the first line. Therefore, the lines are parallel. Part B. Okay, the first line is given as 8x minus 3y minus 7. So it's in the general form. If you want to find the slope, use the formula m equals negative coefficient of x, which is 8, over coefficient of y, which is -3. That makes it 8 over 3. And the slope of the second line, also that one is given in the general form. So m equals negative coefficient of x. Just check that it's given 6y minus 8x. Remember, coefficient of x will be the numerator, which is negative 8, and coefficient of y, which is 6. So that makes it 8 over 6. The coefficients are divided. Okay, you can simplify this, but okay, yet you can compare the gradients. The gradients are not equal, therefore, these lines are not parallel. Question 6. The four sides of a rectangle have the equation of these four equations are given. Show which pair of lines are parallel. Okay, we have to find the gradient of each line. For example, for the first line, as you see, okay, we can find it. Use the formula m equals negative coefficient of x over coefficient of y. 2 over negative 1, which makes it 2. The second line, 2x plus 4y minus 44, that makes it m equals negative coefficient of x, which is 2, over coefficient of y, and if you simplify it, it's going to be negative 1 over 2. Coefficient of the third line, gradient of the third line, that would be negative coefficient of x, which is 2 over coefficient of y, negative 1, that makes 2. So it's clear from here, you don't need to find the last one because the first line and the third one have the same coefficient. Therefore, they are parallel, and the second and fourth one are also parallel. So therefore, they are the opposite sides. So first line and third one, a pair of opposite sides, and second and fourth one, the other two. Okay, question 7. Find the equation of a line that is parallel to this one and passes through 1 and 3. So, okay, first we need to find the gradient. Question 7. M is equal to negative coefficient of x, which is 1 over 4. Just remember here, it seems to be like 1 over 4. This can be the coefficient. Okay, over the coefficient of y, which is negative 5 over 6. Okay, given to the calculator, you can get the answer, which would be 6 over 20 and simplified to 3 over 10. Okay, we have the slope, we have a point, we can write the equation of the line, which is y minus y1 equals to m times x minus x1. Okay, substitute the values. Y minus 3 is equal to 3 over 10 times x minus 3. Just I separate the answer of question 7 with other questions. Okay, that's up to question. Okay, now next slide. Okay, question 8. Show that the line 4x over 5 plus 7 over 3 equals 5y over 4 is parallel to 8x minus 25y over 2 minus 7 equals 0. Just check this, that the first line is not given fully in general form. There is something missing. The y must be on the left side, but it's on the right side. So if you want to find the gradient, you have to move everything to one side. Then you can use the formula. So solving question 8. The line would be 4x over 5 minus 5y over 4 minus plus 7 over 3 equal to 0. Okay, to find the gradient, divide the coefficient, negative coefficient of x, which is 4 over 5, over negative 5 over 4. Okay, the answer would be, you can use the calculator to solve this. The final answer would be 16 over 25. Okay, the second line, 8x minus 25y over 2 minus 7. The gradient of that one, because that's in general form, so you just need to apply the formula. It's going to be negative coefficient of x, which is 8, over negative 25 over 2. Okay, if you simplify it using a calculator, you will get the answer positive 16 over 25, which shows that they are parallel because the slope of the first one and second one are equal. Therefore, they are parallel. Question 9. Find the equation of the line that is parallel to 4 over 11x equal to negative 1 over 4y. Okay, in this situation, okay, and also it says passes through 0 and 1. So first we need to reform this to be either in the general form or the standard form or slope-intercept form. Therefore, we cross-multiply them. It's going to be 16y equals to negative 11x. Then divide by 16 to make y isolated. It will be negative 11 over 16x, which is the gradient of the line. Okay, it says write the equation of a line that is parallel to this line. So therefore, they have to have the same gradient. The gradient of this one is negative 11 over 16. So the other line must have the same gradient. Also, it must pass through 0 and 1. 0 and 1 is a point that is located on the y-axis. Therefore, we can say that this 1 is the y-intercept, and we can easily write the equation. But I want to write it step by step using the formula y minus y1 equals to m times x minus x1. Substitute the values. Okay, y minus, consider this one to be x1 and y1. So y minus 1 equals to negative 11 over 16 times x minus 0. If you simplify it, it will be y minus 1 equals to negative 11 over 16x. And move the negative 1 to the right side, it becomes y equals negative 11 over 16x plus 1. Okay, the last question, question 10. Show that the line, this line that is given, again, it is not in general form because 7y over 2 is on the other side of equality. Okay, if it wants to be general form, all must be on one side equal to 0. Okay, show that this line is not parallel to this given line. Okay, to show that they are not parallel, it's just enough to show that their slopes or gradients are not equal. Okay, what to do? Find the gradient of each one and show that they are not equal. The first one, the gradient would be m equals, just consider that we have to move it to the left side, it becomes negative. So there is negative coefficient of x, which is 2 over 3. Coefficient of y would be negative 7 over 2 when you move it to the left side. And if you simplify it, it's going to be positive 4 over 21. Use a calculator to calculate and simplify this fraction. Okay, on the second line, we can apply the same formula. M equals negative fraction, coefficient of x, which is 2, over negative 15 over 2. And if you simplify it, it's going to be positive 4 over 15. Slopes are not equal, so we write it. The slopes or gradients are not equal. Okay, therefore, the lines are not parallel. Okay, then that's question 10. This is the end of part 3.2a. Okay, we will start 3.2b, the next part. This idea in this part is about being perpendicular lines. To have perpendicular lines, the gradients of one must be opposite and reciprocal of the other one. So if I have the gradient of 1 and I make it opposite and reciprocal, therefore I will have m prime, which is the gradient of the perpendicular line. One property about perpendicular line is that if you multiply m and m prime, you will get -1. The gradients of perpendicular lines. Multiply them, you will get -1. Okay, in this case, the first one, part A, y equals 2x plus 6, and y equals half x plus 9. The gradient of the first one is 2, m equals 2. And the gradient of the second one is half. If they want to be perpendicular, we have to multiply the gradients, and we must get -1. Let's try. 2 times half, it's going to be just 1. It's not -1. Therefore, no, the lines are not perpendicular. Okay, so not perpendicular. Part B, y equals -3x minus 5 and y equals 1/3 x plus 5. The gradient of the first one is -3. The gradient of second one is 1/3. Multiply the gradients. -3 times 1/3, it's going to be -1. Therefore, yes, the lines are perpendicular. Question 2. Review and correct this method to find the equation of the line that is perpendicular to y equals -half x plus 3 and passes through the point 1 and 0. Okay, the gradient of this line, indeed, it is -half. So this part is correct. Okay, let x1 and y1 be 1 and 0. This one is correct, considering this point to be the point of the line. Applying the formula y equals y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, this is used to write the equation of a line. Okay, let's substitute. Okay, the point is 1 and 0. Here is substituted -1 and 0 here, and the gradient is half. Okay, so the line is half x minus 1. Okay, what are the mistakes? The first mistake is that this point that is given, 1 will be x1 and 0 will be y1, which by mistake they put in the wrong place. Okay, for x1 it must be 1, for y1 it must be 0. This is the first mistake. Second mistake is that the lines must be perpendicular. So the line of the gradient of the second line must be opposite and reciprocal of the first one. So the first one has -1/2 as the gradient. Okay, fine. But the problem is that here they wrote half as opposite and reciprocal. Opposite of -half would be +half. This is opposite, but we also must make it reciprocal. Reciprocal means if it's as a fraction, you have to flip the fraction. So it will be 2/1. Flip this fraction, which will be 2/1, which is 2. So the gradient that is substituted here must be 2. If we fix these mistakes, then it will be y minus 0 equals to 2 times x minus 1. Okay, and then y minus 0 is just y. Distribute this 2. It will be 2x minus 2. And that's the correct answer. Next slide is about question 3 and 4. Question 3 says that the four sides of a rectangle have these equations. It says, show which lines are perpendicular. So we have to find the gradients of each line and then decide which ones have opposite and reciprocal gradients. So the first one, using the formula, negative coefficient of x over coefficient of y has the slope of 2. The second line, Okay, m equals negative coefficient of x over coefficient of y would be negative half. Third line, the coefficient again do the same thing, negative coefficient of x, which is 2, over coefficient of y, that makes it 2. The last one, again, m equals negative coefficient of x over coefficient of y will be negative half. Therefore, okay, we see that the first and the second line are perpendicular. Second and third are perpendicular. Third and fourth are perpendicular. Okay, question 4. Find the equation of a line that is perpendicular to this line. Okay, and passes through the y-intercept of this line. First, let's find the gradient of the first line. Negative coefficient of x, which is 8, over coefficient of y, which is negative 2. Simplify it, it's going to be 4. So the line that we are going to write has the gradient 4. And it must pass the y-intercept of this line. Let's reform it to see how it would be in the slope-intercept form to find the intercept easily. Take negative 2y to the right side, so it becomes 4x plus 5 equals 2y. Divide everything by 2 to cancel the 2. Okay, it's going to be 2x plus 5 divided by 2 is 2.5 equals to y. Now we can see that y is equal to 2x plus 2.5, and the y-intercept is just 2.5. Therefore, we can say that the line is y equal to 4x plus 2.5. Okay, and that's the answer to this question. Next slide. Work out whether the lines in each pair are perpendicular. Okay, it's very simple. You have to just find the gradients, but make sure they are either in general form or they are in y equals mx plus c. So for example, the first one is in the general form. Therefore, the gradient for the first one, let me make it more clear. So the gradient of the first one is negative coefficient of x, which is 5, over coefficient of y, which is negative 3. That would make it 5 over 3. On the other side, the second line, negative 10y equals 6x plus 3. It's not in the slope-intercept form. Divide everything by negative 10 to become in the intercept form, in the slope-intercept form. Okay, so that would be y equals 6 over negative 10 x plus 3 over negative 10. And if you simplify it, it's going to be y equals negative 3 over 5x minus 3 over 10. Okay, the gradient of this line now is clear that the gradient is negative 3 over 5. To check if they are perpendicular or not, let's multiply the gradient. The first one is 5 over 3. The second one is negative 3 over 5. If we multiply them, we will get negative 1. As we said, if the gradients product becomes negative 1, the lines are perpendicular. Therefore, the answer would be yes. Part B, 9x minus 10y minus 7 equals 0. So you can easily use the formula to find the gradient, negative coefficient of x over coefficient of y, which makes it 9 over 10. The second line's coefficient of x is negative 10. Just see that they replaced them over 9. So if we simplify it, it's going to be 10 over 9. And if we multiply them, 9 over 10 times 10 over 9, it just makes positive 1. It was supposed to be negative 1. As it is not negative 1, so therefore they are not perpendicular. Question 6. A quadrilateral is drawn with vertices that you see here are given. By considering gradients, work out which of these shapes which of these shapes the quadrilateral? Could possibly be, and state your reason. Okay. Based on the properties of the shapes about rhombus, kites, parallelogram, square, and trapezium, and rectangle. What you need to do, okay, is to find the gradient of each pair. Okay, 0 and 6, 2 and 10, 4 and 4, 6 and 8. What you can do, okay, you can plot them first to see the shape, how the shape is. Okay, using the property of the shapes given. Okay, find the gradient of each pair and then compare them. If the gradients are 2 by 2 equal, it means this shape is a rectangle, parallelogram. Okay, these two things, and square could be. If just one pair of gradients are equal and the other two pairs are not equal, the shape is a trapezium. Okay, and you can do these for diagonals to see if the shape forms a kite or rhombus or not. Okay, solving this question is on the students. Question 7. Find the equation of the line that is perpendicular to the given line and passes through 1 and 3. Okay, I will solve the questions down here. The first thing that you need to find is the gradient. First, find the gradient of this line, which negative coefficient of x, which is 1 over 4, over coefficient of y, which is negative 5 over 6, and simplify it. It's going to be 3 over 10. Okay. And the point that is given is 1 and 3. Use the formula y minus y1 equals to m times x minus x1. Call the point x1 and y1. Substitute, it will be y minus 3 equals 3 over 10 times x minus 1. Okay, you can simplify it and turn it into general form if it is needed. Question 8. Show that the lines 4x over 5 plus 7 over 3 equals 5y over 4 is not perpendicular to 8x minus 25y over 2 minus 7 equals 0. Okay, find the gradient of each one, multiply the gradients, and show that it is not equal to negative 1. So m equals negative 4 over 5 and the coefficient of y. Check this out, that you have to bring it to the left side first, put it equal to 0. When you bring it to the right side, to the left side, the coefficient becomes negative 5 over 4. And if you simplify it, it's going to be 16 over 25. And the gradient of the second one, second line, okay, coefficient, negative coefficient of x, which is 8, over coefficient of y, which is negative 25 over 2. If you give it to the calculator and solve it and simplify it, it's going to be 16 over 25. Okay, let's multiply the gradients. 16 over 25 times 20 times 16 over 25. Both of them are 16 over 25. Okay, it will be 256 over 625, which is obviously not negative 1. Therefore, the lines are not perpendicular. To solve question 9, it says find the equation of the line that is perpendicular to this line and passes through 0 and 1. The first thing, I have to change this one to slope intercept form. Cross multiply, simplify. If you got the cross multiply it, it's going to be 16y equals to negative 11x. And then divide by 16, y will be negative 11 over 16x. Okay, so the gradient is m equals negative 11 over 16. If we want to make it perpendicular line, we have to change this one by making it opposite and reciprocal. Therefore, m prime will be positive. Reciprocal means flip the fraction, 16 over 11. Therefore, we can write the equation considering this point, given point, be x1 and y1. So it's going to be y minus 1 equals to 16 over 11 times x minus 0. You can simplify it and write it in the form of y equals 16 over 11x plus 1. Okay, question 10. Show that the line 2x over 3 plus 8 over 11 equals 7y over 2 is not perpendicular to 2x plus 2y over 15 minus 9 equals 0. It is almost completely the same as question 8. You have to move 7y over 2 to the left side to make it in the general form. Find the gradient, also find the gradient of the second line, multiply them, and show that it will not be equal negative 1. Okay, you can do it by yourself. Okay, the rest of the exercises will be solved in the next video.